Hey guys, today we're driving the 2025 Toyota GR Corolla with the 8-speed direct automatic transmission. We are driving from downtown Charlotte to Charlotte Motor Speedway today, so we're going to be doing kind of a morning commute video. Toyota has made a lot of changes to this 2025 GR Corolla, many of which are just small changes, subtle tweaks to the suspension, the steering, the cooling systems, and things to accommodate this automatic transmission. This only weighs about 45 pounds more than the manual, the 6-speed manual. This is a premium plus with a carbon roof and the bulged hood. We've got some very, very cool tech here with the new GR Corolla. Some changes in the drive modes, some tweaks with the rear suspension to give us better traction, and improvements with steering. So let's get on the road and we'll see how some of this stuff feels and reacts to our inputs. We've got some temperature in the car. It's been sitting here idling, warming up for a few minutes, so not a cold start today. All right, so now that we're on our correct route, we have a few different drive modes we can play with. Eco, normal, sport, and custom, as well as all-wheel drive settings. So they've switched this up a little bit. We have our all-wheel drive controller right down here. Track is a variable 60-40 to 30-70 torque split. Normal is now 60-40, and then gravel is 50-50. So just some interesting notes there. They've switched it up a little bit. They don't tell you those torque ratios front to rear anymore on the dash. They just kind of give you track, normal, or gravel. In the manual GR Corolla, the location of the IMT button has been moved in front of the shifter instead of over here to the left, which is nice. One of my favorite things about the GR Corolla is you just get a bunch of great features, like the JBL sound system, like the heated steering wheel, heated seats. Those are on right now for me, and I'm nice and comfy on this kind of chilly 52-degree day. We have a 1.6-liter turbocharged 3-cylinder. It still makes 300 horsepower, but now torque is bumped up to 295 pound-feet, the same as the GR Corolla Marizo. So a little bit healthier numbers there. Let's see what this automatic can do in a manual mode. Ooh, you guys, it feels pretty good. It's healthy. We're also going to be taking this around a racetrack today, so stay tuned for that portion of the video. Let's go through some gears here with the paddle shifters. So 8th gear, cruising on the highway. Nice cruising gears. You get decent fuel economy with this. This is a closer ratio 8-speed automatic than we usually see from Toyota. The first 5 ratios pretty much mimic the manual transmission, and I think 5th gear might be a little bit shorter, which is nice. This is fun. It's not dual clutch snappy, but it's pretty well tuned on initial impressions. Pretty quick to downshift. I don't feel like it's robbing a ton of power. Historically, this segment of high-performance hot hatch has usually been manual only, except for the Golf R, which has a dual clutch. And it's kind of nice that Toyota is offering this automatic, and they've actually put some effort into tuning it in a way that's entertaining and, I think, catered to the enthusiast. This is a huge improvement over something like the 8-speed from the Camry TRD, for example. Sport mode opens up an exhaust valve. Slightly snappier gear changes there too. Different rev counter. It's responsive. This is still a torque converter automatic, so it's going to shift harder and faster at higher revs with more throttle, and a little bit lazier at lower revs with light or no throttle. I'm very curious to see how the auto programming works on track. Stanced CRV. Wow, look at that. We got some more great tech here, more nice safety features, adaptive cruise control, lane centering. Really nice to have in traffic. Put this back into normal mode. It's keeping a good following distance. We're centered between the lines. Pretty quiet at speed too. This feels like it's a little bit more insulated than my Civic Type R. As a commuter, as a daily, really the only sacrifice you're making in terms of practicality is the back seat's kind of cramped and there just isn't a lot of space in the hatch, in the trunk, to make room for that differential. But up front, I'm perfectly comfortable. This is a nice space. I'm 5'10". There's lots of adjustability with the driving position. We have a really nice, simple, easy to use infotainment, wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, simple controls here for our climate, gear levers in a nice place, drive mode adjustments, all that stuff. You got wireless charging right up there. Oh, and we still get a handbrake, which is fantastic. The GR Corolla's all-wheel drive system can disconnect the rear axle, so you can still do handbrake turns in the automatic, which I think is just awesome. This GR Corolla that we're driving today is a Premium Plus, which means it costs about $47,000 with the heavy metal premium paint option. A little bit of money, but a whole lot of car for that money. I've always thought in this segment, this is one of the most fun cars to drive on the street. It's a really good 7/8 car. I'm curious to see how it does on track today, because the first iteration of the GR Corolla tended to kind of fall apart a little bit the harder you pushed it. If you really got close to those limits, it would start to dial you back a little bit. There was some understeer. I'm curious to see what these little tweaks, what these little suspension changes and steering changes have added up to in the real world on the racetrack. Suspension is still on the firmer side, but it's not punishing. If you're used to driving hot hatchbacks, GTIs, Focus STs, Golf Rs, Civic Si, stuff like that, stuff in the same wheelhouse as this GR Corolla, the suspension is going to feel perfectly normal. That said, Toyota does need to come out with a rally version of this car with bigger tires and a 2-inch lift, so you can tackle some dirt roads. That would be perfect. I've got to say, on first impressions, I am liking this automatic. I had some complaints with the tuning on the GR86. The automatic transmission in that is fine, but it's not great. I think Toyota really needed to up their game with this 8-speed to stay competitive with the dual clutch from the Golf R and just kind of expectations from buyers. Since they weren't putting a dual clutch in this, since it is an 8-speed automatic, they could really kind of make up for that difference, that discrepancy with the tuning. And I think so far on daily driving and in commuting environments, this does really well, and it's going to be a fun gearbox to drive spiritedly on street and on track. Those 7th and 8th gear ratios are very, very close to one another. 8th gear seems to be mostly a coasting gear just to get better fuel economy. The light throttle will put us down into 7th. That'll bring us up to about 3,000 RPM here, give us some passing power. It still feels special. It still has kind of that charm that the GR Corolla has always had because of that turbocharged 3-cylinder engine sound. This is a fizzy little rally car for the street. It's got some character, it's got some personality, and that's kind of rare these days in a modern car. Not a whole lot of road noise from the Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tires. Again, 235/40 R18s. Adaptive cruise control, bringing us down from speed there very smoothly. Nice. Increase our following distance here if we're getting into some slowdowns. Head-up display is really nice too. We've got lots of good information there, from cruise control settings to speed limit. Got a physical dimmer switch down here as well, though it only dims the gauge cluster and the instrument panel right here. It should do the screen as well. We have to go into a separate menu for that. We do get a little display that shows us if our brakes are on right there. That's nice to see when we have adaptive cruise control engaged. So far, I'm liking this system better than what's in my Honda. I don't feel like I'm holding up traffic behind me, and it seems to be doing a pretty good job keeping us centered between these lines. In a pretty busy, or I guess typical morning commute setting, this is working just fine. Sometimes I tend to steer away from adaptive cruise control in this type of environment just because there's so much going on. There's cars cutting you off, moving around, traffic is speeding up, slowing down, and I tend to just like to have control myself. But this seems to be doing a pretty good job on its own. It's smooth blending those speed differentials on its own. Yeah, so far I'm pretty impressed with this gearbox. It seems to be holding gears nicely, staying in fifth so we can get a little bit more power here to accelerate from the slowdown. Brake pedal feel is excellent. Really nice firm pedal. Some fun boost noises happening from the front end there too. And in drive, it still seems to be pretty responsive when you want to use the paddle shifters. There's a little bit of an upshift delay. Manual mode pretty much gets rid of that though. Good torque though. I always forget how fun this 1.6 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder is. 100 horsepower per cylinder. Just crazy. A lot of boost going through this little motor. Are you missing a little bit of engagement, excitement, not having the manual? Yeah, because the manual I think is pretty good in the GR Corolla. I've always really liked the shift action. Supposedly, Toyota has made a few improvements to the clutch feel. So we'll have to drive a manual today to compare. It's been a little while since we drove a GR Corolla. I believe it was last fall with the Morizo, so it's been about a year. Maybe it was, yeah, it's been about a year. Smooth starts. Nice to see some shorter gearing too from an automatic. Paddle shifters feel okay. They are plastic, but they have a good kind of matte texture to them and a nice positive click when you hit them. down switch at the bottom of the pedal. And this is all normal drive mode. We're not in sport or anything. Sport mode will hold gears a little bit longer for us, ramp things up a bit. Yeah, I just would like a bit better response from those upshifts. I want 5th gear right now, and it's giving me 4th. Toyota does this thing where if you're in drive and you're using the paddle shifters, 5th will be the maximum gear that it'll put you in, but you really have to go into manual mode to get full manual control. And it would be nice to get temporary manual control in drive just by engaging those paddles.
Take exit 32 for US 29 towards Charlotte, Concord.
Yeah, sport mode is extra snappy. That almost feels like DCT levels of shift speed. Even at light throttle, that's nice. And you can bounce off the rev limiter. This is a fun car. The GR Corolla has always driven about
Take
like
exit 32.
how I've imagined a hot hatch to drive. It just kind of has that extra little bit of fizz and personality over the competition. If you don't want a front-wheel drive Civic Type R, and a Golf R is a little bit too sedate for your preferences, this gives you rally car vibes. Really responsive downshifts. That's nice. Sport mode seems to be a fun drive mode too. Curious to see at steady state cruising if it gets us up into the higher gears or if it's just holding lower gears to keep us at higher revs for better power. Let's see. It looks like it's just kind of sitting around 3,000 RPM, which isn't ideal for daily driving, fuel economy. Sometimes it's nice when a car can be in sport mode and after 15 seconds or so it'll calm down and hold some taller gears. Could do all this manually. Exhaust sounds a little bit different to my ear. It sounds good. It's really throaty. Alright, looks like we're here. Charlotte Motor Speedway. Follow the signs. Oh yeah, this will be fun. All right, guys. Well, those are some initial driving impressions on the 2025 GR Corolla with the direct automatic transmission. A fun time. Pretty good morning commuter. No major complaints about the way this drives. I think this is going to be a good addition and alternative in the GR Corolla lineup. Fun car. Excited to get it out on track. Stay tuned for that video. That's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. This is the color to get it into. This heavy metal gray is just great. It reflects light so nicely. Extra bulges from the hood. Now that we can actually see this car, bigger brake cooling ducts up front. A little better cooling with the radiators too. This has a transmission cooler. This is now body color painted. Matte black wheels. Yeah, this looks proper. And of course GR4 down there on the rear 3/4 side skirt. One note, if you're going to be driving your GR Corolla on gravel, get this section wrapped or get some mud flaps because you'll get a lot of rock chips in that little bump out.